I gotta say, there really isn't anything quite as powerful as a really good nostalgia trip. Over the past few weeks, I've been going through a lot of my old stuff and trying to get back to my roots of when I started this journey on becoming a metalhead. From being a pimply-faced 13-year-old getting my first CDs, to finally getting my hands on my first metal magazine, and my very first concert tickets, it's been one hell of a ride. But I do have to say, as I was taking this trip down memory lane, I've come to some pretty interesting conclusions and realizations that I thought I would like to share with you guys. So this is where it all started for me. Marilyn Manson's Antichrist Superstar. And I have to say, I actually still remember the day I bought this. I had some Christmas money, and my parents took my brothers and I to the city so we could all kind of splurge and get on any kind of crap we want. And we went to a music store, and I remember seeing this on the shelf, and I was completely enveloped in it. Just seeing this fucking madman that looks like a corpse on one end and wearing ladies' makeup on the other. I just wasn't sure what it was all about. It scared me, it excited me, it was all these different emotions all at once. And I specifically remember one of my brothers trying to talk me out of buying it, saying, "You don't want to listen to that, that's stupid, that's gay, why would you want to listen to some weirdo like that?" But it was my money and I could spend it any way I wanted, and that's how I spent it. And as you can see, this CD is quite well worn. It's been through hell and back. I know I've moved at least 5 times since I bought this, and though the case in the cardboard cover here is kind of beat up and got some cracks in it, the CD is perfectly fine, and I don't understand how the amount of different stereos and PS2s and computers it's been on. It still reads perfectly fine, and it still plays just great. Now, I know a lot of people aren't exactly big fans of Marilyn Manson anymore due to recent developments in his personal life, but it doesn't change the fact that this was my very first album, and I'm going to love it for the rest of my life, and in my opinion, the music still holds up. Shortly after that, of course, I found Rob Zombie, and this is another album cover that I was just completely transfixed on, including the back with seeing Rob Zombie dancing with this giant weird monster. I didn't know what to expect from it, but I do remember seeing this front cover and saying, "God damn it, I wish I had a hair and beard like that dude." And now that I'm an adult, I'm getting pretty damn close, though my hair is quite a bit cleaner than this picture. Though I didn't think Rob Zombie was quite as interesting as Marilyn Manson, his music was loud, it was rocking, and it was all about monsters and horror, which I was also all about at the time. These two dudes fucking, like, this was my fucking teen years, 100%. Now, I know by today's standards, 2 CDs is absolutely nothing. People have 100% access to unlimited music all the time, but I grew up in a family where we didn't have a lot of money, and the idea of getting 2 CDs in 1 year, was actually a pretty big deal. And I gotta say, these 2 albums were my soundtrack for a very, very long time. Walking to and from school, I uploaded these CDs to the shitty little hand-me-down MP3 player I had, and that's what I listened to on a long drive in the car. This is what I was listening to. I specifically remember, in like the 7th and 8th grade, coming home on a Friday afternoon, having the worst week of my fucking life again because I was getting bullied by teachers and classmates, and just going into my room and putting these CDs into my PlayStation 2 because I didn't have a stereo system, having a rundown PlayStation 2, putting the CDs into that, and the music would come out of the speakers on the TV. That's how I would listen to it. And I just remember sitting in my room by myself, looking at the liner notes, reading the lyrics, appreciating the artwork, drawing in my shitty sketchbooks, wishing that I could draw and paint like the artwork and take pictures, and wishing I had the long hair and but wearing the clothes that my parents bought for me, and all I wanted to do was wear all black. This is what it was all about. But then as weeks turned into months, turned into years, my fascination with heavy metal and these guys just grew and grew. And then I finally got my very first issue of Revolver Magazine, and of course, Marilyn Manson was on the cover, with 2 other interesting characters. 2 guys from a band called Slayer. Now, I had heard about Slayer before, but I had never listened to any of their music, and I certainly didn't recognize either of these 2 guys. So of course, I sat down with this and once again read through every single article in this, looked at every single picture, looked up all these different bands and their names and what these guys were all about. And then when I got to the interview with Marilyn Manson and Slayer, I was like, holy shit, I gotta find out more about these Slayer guys, because they look totally awesome, and their music sounds badass too. Of course, at the time when this magazine came out, they were doing a tour together, the Live Evil Tour, which I believe was in 2007. And of course, there was no way in hell my parents would let me go to this, not that we could even afford sending me to that tour, or that would be anywhere near me. But in my teenage brain, all I could do was hope and dream that I could have seen these fucking guys live, because it would have been the best day of my fucking life. And I have to say, this really also got me into Revolver Magazine. Now, obviously, I don't have every single issue. I didn't keep up with it that much. But it did have some pretty interesting articles, like that interview with Manson and Slayer, and another really interesting one called Metal Made Me Do It. All these horrendous, violent acts that people have blamed on heavy metal. This magazine was like my Bible for a very long time. As you can see, it is beaten to hell. I don't know how many times I've stuffed this into my backpack just so I could have something to read at school. I'm surprised I still have it and it's not falling apart, even though it is getting there, obviously. And I have to say, this magazine, it came with a poster with Marilyn Manson and Slayer. In my real old videos, you can actually see it on my wall. And I actually used to take that poster and put it in my locker in high school. Now, I don't know where that poster is. I know I have it. Where it went, I have no fucking clue, though. But that poster is 100% falling apart. It's been through so many lockers, on so many different walls, in so many different bedrooms. I love that poster, so I'm going to have to keep looking for it, because that's definitely a part of my own history. So after listening to these albums a billion times and reading through this magazine probably just as many times, I finally got to see my first concert, and I have to say that was probably the biggest deal in my life up until that point. It was on Sunday, September 20th, 2009 at the Scotiabank Place, and of course, it was Marilyn Manson. I remember my oldest brother bought this ticket for me, because once again, I didn't have any money, and there's no fucking way my parents would spend money on this, but my brother knew I wanted to see it so bad, so he was nice enough to buy this for me and get a ticket for himself, and there were two of his friends that came with us too. We got to the venue hours and hours and hours beforehand just so we could be at the front line, and we definitely were. And I remember when we were waiting, there were these fucking dickheads who I actually knew from the same high school that I went to that kept trying to button line in front of us. And my brother's quite a bit older than me, and his friends were like, this is not fucking happening. You guys get behind us. We were here first. Fuck you. And it was really cool to see like these pretty big metal guys being like, this is fucking our time. You weren't here early enough. Tough shit, pal. Get behind us. It was a really cool experience. And lucky for me, I actually got to be in the very front row to see Marilyn Manson. I don't know if anyone remembers, but in 2009 was actually the height of the swine flu epidemic that was going across the world. And Marilyn Manson was actually sick as a fucking dog when he came to this venue. At the time, he didn't know that he had swine flu. And as I was in the front row, Marilyn Manson was taking drinks of beer and he was throwing the bottles of beer into the audience. And I caught one and I took a drink from it. And lo and behold, I got swine flu from Marilyn Manson. Now that's a story that not everybody has, so that's pretty damn cool. But other than that, it wasn't just about getting sick and seeing it. It was the whole experience. This giant fucking crowd of people, these blaring guitars, the smashing drums, this fucking madman with makeup just screaming his heart out. It was a whole other experience. If I could go back in time just once, it would be so I could go back then and experience that all over again, because for me, it was literally life-changing. But of course, that wasn't the only concert I ever went to, and the other really big life-changing thing that I would say for me was the first metal festival I ever went to. Now, I have a handful of tickets here, and I'm not going to go through every one, but I have to talk about this one, because in 2010, I went to Heavy MTL, which is a giant metal music festival in Montreal, Quebec. And the really cool thing about this ticket is, I got a VIP ticket, so we could have a place to sit down and a toilet to use. Yeah, real VIP, right? Anyway, in the VIP section, I happened to run into the former lead singer of Skeleton Witch, and he signed my ticket, and I ran into Sam Dunn. Of course, everyone knows the documentarian Sam Dunn, Metal Headbanger Journey, Global Metal, Metal Evolution. He was there too, and I got him to sign my ticket. Now, the signatures are pretty faded, but you can still see them, and this is another thing about bragging rights. Also, not only was it about meeting those two guys, it was all about the fucking music. I saw Alice Cooper for the first time. Amazing. Rob Zombie for the first time. Slayer was there. I saw 3 Inches of Blood before they broke up. Holy shit, it was amazing. Testament, I got to see Testament live. At the time, I thought that was the only time I was ever going to get to see them. It was amazing. That was actually the first mosh pit I was ever in, and I remember I'm like real tall and real skinny. I was even skinnier back then. I got pushed over in the mosh pit, and I actually got kicked in the head before everybody lifted me up, and I lost my sight for about 5 minutes. Like, I remember I was like, my brother got me up, he's like, holy shit, are you alright? And everything just went white. And of course, I'm trying to tell my brother, I can't fucking see, but he can't hear me over the music. So he got me out of the mosh pit, and thankfully my sight came back, and they got me checked out at the medical tent. But it was such a wild experience. And it was a 2-day festival too, so seeing all these different bands, meeting all these people, seeing all these guys in cool battle vests and all the fists in the air and throwing up the horns, another life-changing experience. And I guess the last piece of memorabilia from my own past I really need to bring up, of course, is the video game Brutal Legend. Now, I know many years ago I did a whole video about how much I love this game, but I need to talk about it just a little bit more, because, you know, this was the first video game I ever bought when I got my first part-time job. I saved up for weeks, and I got a PlayStation 3 and this game, and this game just blew my balls off, because when I first played this, this was like next gen. Compared to PlayStation 2 games, this was like a gigantic open world. The game was so long, it was filled with so much stuff, the graphics were amazing. It was so fucking cool, right? And I remember playing this game so much over and over and over again. I ended up getting all the trophies for it just because I was so enveloped in the game. And I remember, because you can unlock a bunch of songs you can listen to while driving around in the game, sitting there with a pen and paper, writing down all the songs and all the band names just so I could go online and look them up. And this video game opened my eyes to so many fucking bands. From King Diamond. There are some King Diamond songs on here. Holy shit, when I saw King Diamond, that was a trip, man. And I have this game to thank for it. Mirror Throne, Manowar, there are so many bands I found out about because of this game. It's like I owe my appreciation to an inanimate object, if that makes any sense. I don't want to get too much more into it, but another life-changing experience. Now, I'm sure there are some of you sitting there saying, what the hell was the point of this whole video? Now, at the very beginning, I said a few weeks ago, I started digging through all my old stuff and going back to my roots. And the reason I was doing that was because I started feeling a disconnection to metal. I had hit one hell of a metal slump. I was listening to the music, but I didn't really feel like I was enjoying it the way I used to. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was listening to it at work, I was listening to it at home, and I was just like, I'm not really connecting to this anymore. And I was like, am I a metalhead anymore? Do I not like the music? Am I growing out of it? What is wrong with me? And by going through all of this, I realized what my problem was. And that is, I was listening to the music, but I wasn't appreciating it anymore. Like I said, when I was a kid and I was listening to these, I was sitting down with the album, reading the lyric books, looking at the pictures, reading through this magazine over and over and over again. And to me, that was appreciation. And I realized that I don't even remember the last time I did that. I don't remember the last time I sat down with an album and read through all the lyrics while I was listening to it and looked at all the pictures and went to the band's website and did all this. I was listening to it, but I wasn't appreciating it. And I know I'm going to sound like a real fucking old person here, but that's why I don't subscribe to Spotify or Apple Music, because to me, I need something physical. I need to sit down with something and hold it and get my fingerprints all over it. And just to do that, to me, if I were to just, put Spotify on, I would be listening to the music, and sure, I would be enjoying it, but I don't think I would be enjoying it nearly as much. And since I came to that realization, I've made it my goal to really do this at least once a week, because I feel that I need it to really hold that appreciation and have that connection to metal. Because I realize, you know, being a metalhead isn't about just having a giant album collection or having 100 band t-shirts. Any jerk-off can go and spend a few $100s and get a bunch of CDs and get a bunch of t-shirts. That's not what being a metalhead is all about. Being a metalhead is having a great appreciation for that specific type of music. Now, I know some people will disagree with me on that, but I'm not going to change my opinion on it, because to me, that's 100% what it is. And though there may be some people who disagree with me, I know there's going to be a lot of people who do agree with me. So I think if there's any people out there who feel like they're going through a metal slump, I highly suggest you go back to your roots and do exactly what I did. Now, I don't want to get too preachy on you guys or anything, but I feel that a lot of us really need to get away from this constant bombardment of media. I remember when I was a kid, if you wanted to see a movie, you would either have to buy it or rent it, if your parents would, you know, give you the money to go do that, or hope that it would come on TV one day so you could finally watch it. But now we have things like Netflix, Disney+, Amazon Prime, Hulu, all these different things. You have 100%, like, access to it 100% of the time, and I feel like people aren't appreciating it. My problem is, I realized, like, when the hell was the last time I sat down and watched my favorite movie and didn't look at this fucking phone while I was doing it? When was the last time I didn't listen to my favorite album or read my favorite magazine and I didn't look at this fucking phone? We are way too overwhelmed with way too much media, and I feel that we all of us, at least once a week, you need to turn your fucking phones off, read a book, read a magazine, watch your favorite movie, you know, listen to your favorite song or your favorite album. I'm not saying that all these technological advancements are bad things. I'm just saying it's so easy to take it for granted and to overindulge. When a new season of a TV show comes out, you can fucking watch it in a week. Whereas before, you know, you had to wait week by week for the new episode to come out, and you appreciated it more. So I guess that's kind of the whole point of this video, right? All about the appreciation. I'm sorry it's taken, what, fucking 10 minutes or whatever to get to this final conclusion, but that's what I feel like it is. So I hope a lot of you can learn something from what I just said. Like I said, I hope I'm not being too preachy and being a little too heartfelt, but I hope that what I'm saying can at least reach someone and help someone get out of a slump or gain a bit more appreciation about metal music.